Morning students. In the last section of this chapter number 9, we have dealt a lot of things, but a few points had left, and as I told you that in the next dot classes I will discuss all those points which we had left. Now today here we have to start from this tracing evolutionary relationship. In this part we will learn how the organisms, by gradually changing from the pre-existing simpler form, and after a gradual changing they now became a complex form, and in this context there are some important things which provided an evidence in favor of these changes. That means the evolution has happened, that will be proved with the help of some evidences, and that is the tracing. इसी का नाम है ट्रेस करना, कि अगर ऑर्गेनिज्म में इवोल्यूशन हुआ है, अगर कोई प्लांट में किसी एनिमल ने अगर अपना फॉर्म प्री एग्जिस्टिंग से सिंपल प्री एग्जिस्टिंग से अब के इस एज में वो कॉम्प्लेक्स फॉर्म में है, तो उसमें जो इवोल्यूशन हुआ है उसके फेवर में क्या प्रूफ है, क्या एविडेंसेस है. इस एविडेंसेस के आधार पे हमें बहुत कुछ जानकारी मिलती है कि किस तरह से एक ऑर्गेनिज्म, सपोज कीजिए अगर आप कॉडेट्स में वर्टिब्रेटा की बात करते हैं, इफ़ वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द वर्टिब्रेटा, हाउ द पाइसेस एंड आफ्टर पाइसेस द एम्फीबियन, आफ्टर एम्फीबियन द रेप्टिलियन, एवियन and the mammalian gradually developed. What are the organs which supporting all these things? What are the different parts of the body which supporting these things? That will all discuss. The evidences of organic evolution derived from various resources. This resources means, this various resources means the resources which we will get from the comparative study of morphology and anatomy of the different parts or the organs of the organisms. Similarly, if we are talking the other resources, that is the fossils. Similarly, if we furthermore go for the further tracing and investigation, that is the molecular biology. And not only this, there are other features also, there are other evidences also, like the connecting link or the missing link, which indicates that how the two groups of the organism interrelated with each other, and how, like when we talking about the fossils of Archaeopteryx, in that fossil we see that how these fossils show the two different features, the features of the two different groups of the organism, like avian features and like the reptilian features. Similarly, missing link, after missing link there are some vestigial organs also. That the vestigial organs means those organs which were functional in the ancient species or in the primitive life form, but now they are functionless due to their some less use and many more things which we will see. In this regard, we will see that there are various resources, and depending upon that resources we can trace evolutionary relationship, and that indicate that the present day forms have arisen by gradual changes from the pre-existing forms, and that more complex forms have evolved from simpler forms. A number of common features of different kinds of organisms provide evidence in favor of evolution because they can be considered to have evolved from a common ancestor. Like when we are talking about in this morphology, comparative study of the morphological and anatomical features of the organism will show, in case of the homologous organ, we will see that how there are similarities and the basic structure are the similar, but the functions are different. That means all these features show the homologous organ which possessing by the organism show that they have evolved from a common ancestor. Similarly, when we are talking about the analogous, at that time we may see that they are unrelated organism and they have not evolved from a common ancestor. Now we shall discuss the first point in this regard, that is the morphology and study, comparative study of morphology and anatomy, under which we will study the homologous and analogous organs categorically. Here the comparative morphology and anatomy. From this part we will learn about the homologous and analogous organs according to the syllabus. Here the definition of homologous organs. These organs are similar in origin and fundamental structure but are different in function. Like when we talking about the examples like forelimb of frog, hind limb and forelimb. Forelimb of frog, arm of man similar to the forelimb of frog, leg of horse and wing of a bat and flipper of a seal are homologous organs, as because they have similar origin and the basic structure, anatomical structure, but perform different functions, as we will see here. That is the frog, the forelimb of frog actually supporting the frog while they walking, while they jumping, at that time they are supporting, and while they grasping, while they may move on land, at that time that forelimb support the frog. In this arm of man, it is used for grasping, picking of substances. हाथों से हम जो काम करते हैं आपको खूब मालूम है, और यही forelimb जब इसमें horse में, when we will look in the horse, that is for running, and in a bat that is for flying, and in the flipper of seal that will for the swimming. तो यहाँ पर आपने देखा फ्रॉग में, आर्म ऑफ मैन में, लेग ऑफ हॉर्स में, विंग ऑफ बैट में, फ्लिपर ऑफ सील में फंक्शंस डिफरेंट रहा है ना, फंक्शंस सारे का डिफरेंट है, लेकिन इसका ओरिजिन और बेसिक एनाटॉमिकल स्ट्रक्चर सिमिलर है। तो ऐसे ऑर्गन्स को हम लोग होमोलोगस ऑर्गन कहेंगे। क्यों इसे हम कह रहे हैं? क्योंकि उनका जो स्ट्रक्चर एनाटॉमी देखा गया उसमें जो हड्डियों का जो अरेंजमेंट है ये सारे फोर लिम्ब में एक जैसा है, यानी कि दे आर फॉर्म्ड ऑफ सिमिलर टाइप्स ऑफ बोन्स, दैट इज ह्यूमेरस, रेडियो अल्ना, carpels, metacarpals and phalanges. So these are the some features which show that as their basic structure are similar, that means they are all belongs to the same ancestor. They are related organism, their organs, this homology has shown that they originated from the similar ancestor, but due to the different reasons they may have diverted in the course of time. While we are talking about the as per the situations, as per their habitats, they are using these organs for the different purposes, and that is why this type of evolution is also known as the divergence evolution, यानी कि एक तरह के एंसेस्टर से निकल करके आया, लेकिन due to the certain factors they have diverted. और इसी का अपोजिट में, इसी के compare, if we will compare this fact with the analogous, they will find that the organs in the analogy, we will see that their structure or their anatomical structure, their basic structure are dissimilar, but they can perform similar functions, and that is the convergent evolution or the convergent adaptation, and this is the divergent adaptation or the divergent evolution. Now we will look about the analogous organs and their function and their examples. Analogous organs and their examples. Now look here about the analogous organs. A very short description is here. These organs have different origin and different basic structural plan, but have similar appearance and functions. Now see here, what are the examples? Wings of birds, insects, wings of insects, wings of birds, insects and birds perform the same function of flight. आप यहाँ देख रहे हैं, विंग्स का जैसे ही हमारे दिमाग में बात आती है, विंग्स का ख्याल आता है, तो हमें यकीनन हम ऑफ कोर्स ये सोचते हैं कि ये विंग्स जो है किस काम का है, उड़ने के लिए है, फ्लाइट के लिए है ना। हमें फिर ये लगता है कि जैसे कि एक तरह का होगा, चाहे वो बटरफ्लाई में हो, जो यहाँ पे आपका इंसेक्ट लिखा हुआ है, आर्थ्रोपोडा ग्रुप में हो, चाहे वो एवियंस में हो जैसा कि बर्ड में है ना, चाहे वो मैमल में हो। लेकिन देखिए आप, ये मैमल्स, ये आर्थ्रोपोडा, ये तो नॉन कॉर्डेट्स का है, ये दोनों कॉर्डेट्स का है, तो कितना इसमें जो है डिसिमिलरिटीज़ है, लेकिन फंक्शन के अनुसार इसमें सिमिलरिटी देखा गया। तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि दे आर नॉट फ्रॉम द कॉमन एंसेस्टर, दे आर ऑल विद डिसिमिलर एंसेस्टर्स। यहाँ पर कुछ डिफरेंसेस हैं, यहाँ देखें, होमोलोगस ऑर्गन हैव डिफरेंट अपीयरेंस, हैव सिमिलर अपीयरेंस, adapted to perform different function, and adapted to perform similar function. Basic plan is similar, basic plan dissimilar, occur in related organism, and this occur in unrelated organism. It is supporting the divergent evolution and it supporting the convergent evolution. Divergent convergent आपने पढ़ा होगा, ये जिस तरह से एक सोर्स है लाइट का और यहाँ से रेज जो है इस तरह से डाइवर्ट कर रहा है ना, तो ये डाइवर्जेंट सोर्स यानी कि कॉमन एंसेस्टर है, लेकिन ड्यू टू द डिफरेंट एडेप्टेड टू परफॉर्म डिफरेंट फंक्शन, ये डिफरेंट हैबिटेट्स में, डिफरेंट सिचुएशंस में इसने उसी ऑर्गन को जिसका बेसिक प्लान एक था, जिसका यानी कि होमोलोगस की बात कर रहे हैं, स्ट्रक्चर सिमिलर था, है ना, एनाटॉमी सिमिलर था, लेकिन डाइवर्जेंट होने के कारण इसने अब अलग अलग फंक्शन करना शुरू कर दिया। यहाँ उसका जस्ट अपोजिट है कि एक सोर्स से निकल करके ये डिफरेंट इस तरह से, ये सोर्स एक है, अब यहाँ से निकल करके ये डाइवर्ट कन्वर्जेंट कर गया, देखिए सोर्स यहाँ है और ये एक पॉइंट पे आ गया डिफरेंट, ये देखिए इस तरह से, इस तरह से, इस तरह से, इस तरह से, तो डिफरेंट सोर्सेज हैं लेकिन एक पॉइंट पे आया है फंक्शन के अनुसार। तो एडेप्टेड टू परफॉर्म सिमिलर फंक्शन, बेसिक प्लान डिसिमिलर, है ना, ऑकर इन अनरिलेटेड ऑर्गेनिज्म, सपोर्ट कन्वर्जेंट इवोल्यूशन, ये कन्वर्जेंट इवोल्यूशन को सपोर्ट कर रहा है और ये डाइवर्जेंट इवोल्यूशन को सपोर्ट कर रहा है। इसके बाद हम लोग देखेंगे फॉसिल के बारे में। फॉसिल्स, द ब्रांच ऑफ साइंस which deals the study of fossil is known as paleontology. It is also in the geography, that's why we will not say the branch of biology, it is a branch of science that is related with the study of fossil, paleontology. What is fossil? Any body or traces of body of animals or plants buried and preserved by natural causes are known as fossils. The another definition is here also. The second definition: fossils are the remains of ancient life forms which got preserved somehow in the layers of earth, snow or oil. Importance of fossil. It is that this 3 point is very important. Fossils provide direct evidence of evolution. Like when we dug out an organism's body part or the any organ, that organ after digging, when that is obtained from the layers of the earth, then we will compare now that part of the body or that organ of the body with the present form of the organism. And if there is a similarity or there is a dissimilarity, depending upon that, we can trace the evolutionary trend between the different types of organisms. Understand? That is why it is supposed that it is the direct evidence of the evolution. Different strata of the earth, crust, were formed in different geological periods and have different kinds of fossils which provide the evidence of past life and course of evolution. There are different, when we will dig out the fossils from the different layer, how we will know the organisms are the most recent or the most old, that in this way the upper layer may, when we dug out, the upper layer is the recent, the middle layer and the depth, the deepest layer, that is the oldest. That means in the upper layer the recent form of the lives, the fossils of the recent forms of the lives, the middle layer may be some more older, and on the depth and the deepest layer there are oldest form of life, that is the primitive. And in this way you may see here like the man, horse, it is the fossils of this organism we will get from the recent level, that means the uppermost level, and upper level, and in the middle level, from the middle level we will get the fossils records of the birds, mammals and the reptiles also, and on the oldest level we will get the amphibians, fish and the other invertebrates. Depending upon this fact, the fossil record, the second point, the fossil records also provide a complete pedigree or geological history of certain organisms that indicate evolution has taken place. The third point is here, fossil records also provide missing links or connecting links between the two groups of organisms. Just when we talking about the fossils of Archaeopteryx, what is that fossil? That fossil indicates that how this organism evolved from the they are connecting link between the reptilian and the apes, as because they possessing both the characteristic features. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि वो जो है reptilian से avian की तरफ evolve कर रहा था, उसका इवोल्यूशन हो जाता या इवोल्यूशन नहीं हुआ तो दोनों के कैरेक्टर उसमें दिखाई दिए। तो ये सारी चीज़ें हमें फॉसिल से मिल सकती हैं। अब इसके बाद देखिए, एक देयर इज़ आल्सो वन मोर फैक्ट इन कनेक्शन विद द फॉसिल, दैट इज़ द लिविंग फॉसिल। कुछ ऐसे भी ऑर्गेनिज्म अभी हैं जो अपने किसी पीरियड में, जिनका बहुत सारा स्पेसीज जो है एक्सटिंक्ट कर चुका है, लेकिन उसका कुछ स्पेसीज अभी भी उसी फॉर्म में उपस्थित है, दैट इज़ नोन एज द लिविंग फॉसिल्स। We may can say the several examples, and like the equisetum, and in the plants like the Ginkgo biloba among the gymnosperm, and may be few examples may also I would like to share with you in this later part of this. Now see here, the third point in the importance of fossil, we have seen that it also provide a missing link between the two different group of organisms. Here, what is that missing link or the connecting link? It lived like here in the example Archaeopteryx lithographia, the name of the fossil, the full name of the fossil I have written here, Archaeopteryx lithographica. This it has been proved that it may be the approximately 170 million years ago, in an excellent example of missing link between the two groups of organisms. It shows the features of both reptiles and birds. The important features of the reptiles which are present in this, like the teeth in jaws and a long tail, and the second group of the features like the feathers on the body and forelimbs modifications into the wings for flight, that these are the avian characters. So that is the excellent example of a missing links. I have also told you regarding the living fossils, and that is why here may you only, that is not included in your syllabus, just you have to write down the examples of some living fossils, like from the animal Sphenodon, from reptilia, Limulus, and from the plants may you put examples of living fossils, Ginkgo biloba, from the gymnosperm, it is still present. There are many more contemporaries which were present in the ancient time, and now with slightly modification they are still existing. That is why they are called living fossils. Equisetum, the second example may I put here, Equisetum from the fern. So you have seen here the Sphenodon and the Sphenodon from the class Reptilia, and Limulus here, Limulus from the, sorry I have not written here, Limulus from the Arthropoda. So these are the some examples of the living fossils. Now after this we have some other evidences also. Let us look what are those evidences. Before moving towards the other evidences, one more important point in regard to the fossil, that is the how we will estimate the age of fossils. There are two different methods for estimating the age of fossils, that is the relative method and that is the carbon dating method. That means the carbon 14 radioactive method also, it is known carbon 14 method also. Relative method, in this method when we dig out into the earth we find fossils at different depths, and the fossils closer to the surface are more recent than the fossils found in the deeper layers. It is known as the relative method. In the second method, carbon dating method, this method was the idea for this method was given by Willard Libby, and he has also got the Nobel Prize in 1960. Idea for carbon dating method. In the carbon dating method, the age of a fossil is usually estimated by analyzing the radioactive substances present in the rock from which it has been recovered. This method is extensively used to determine the age of the fossils. Actually, all the organism whose body possess the carbon 14 atoms, and after over a time past, how that radioactivity decreases, that will compare with the present, the time of life form, and depending upon that an estimate is suppose that is an estimation is recorded that the age of the fossil is this type. In this way we will determine the age of fossil. Look here one more important things in regard to the estimation for age in case of the carbon dating method. This is actually the way how the estimation of age will be done. All the living organisms contain some carbon 14 atoms. When an organism dies, what happens? It gets preserved as fossils. Its carbon 14 radioactivity go on decreasing gradually. The age of fossils is estimated by comparing the carbon 14 radioactivity left in the fossils with the carbon 14 radioactivity present in the living organisms in the present life form today, and in this way we will estimate the age of fossil. Evolution by stages. This is the one more important part of the evolution, in which one example is given in this point, the evolution, how the evolution occur in a particular organ like the eye. In the flatworm, it has been seen that in the planarian or the flatworm, there is a very simple structure of this organ, that is the eye, that only detect the light, and that is why it is the rudimentary eye, and eyes are of simple type and detect only the variations in light intensity, but cannot form the image of the object, very simplest. Now after that we have seen that bit by bit there is an evolution in the structure of the eye, and it is not an instant process by only just changing of the DNA. It is bit by bit come into the different generation over time. Like in insects, namely cockroach, there are compound eyes which are formed of large number of visual units called omatida. In the cephalopods, cephalopods are the class of the phylum Mollusca of the kingdom Animalia. Like sepia, octopus, eyes are as complex as those of the vertebrates and have cornea, lens. There are several parts of the eye: cornea, lens, humors, choroid, sclerotic, and retina. These all are the different structural part of this complex eye which are present both in the cephalopods and in the other vertebrates. As compared to the vertebrates are the group of the organism, and it is another group of the organism, as their structures are simpler one and their structures are the complex one. But the eye's development, eye's evolution takes place here in both these two in a similar way, but in both these two groups the development, the structure of the eyes are we call the analogous, as because in the vertebrates eyes are developed from the embryonic stage, embryonic brain, but in case of the cephalopods the structure of these different parts of the eye are the structure of the eye, the complex form of the eye developed from the another part of the body, like from the skin. That is why, as both the structure pattern, the basic structure of the eyes both in the group of the cephalopods and in the group of the vertebrates are dissimilar. That is why they are analogous, but they are performing the same functions as that of the visuality. So that is why Here this example of the eye which show the evolutionary changing from the flatworm or the planarian simple eye to the complex one in the cephalopods, in the vertebrates, where, and also we have seen somewhat in the cockroach, that is the arthropoda. Two more important and interesting facts also here in regard to the evolution by stages. Like here, on some stage, it may be the organ which has developed, maybe used for a different purpose, and in the later stage, it may evolve for the different purpose. Like here, a change that is useful for one property to start with can become useful later for quite a different function. As for example, feathers might start as providing insulation, that to protect against the cold weather, but later they might be useful for flight. And some more here, some heavy birds like ostrich and reptiles and also have feathers, but they do not fly. So that is why here this is some more example in case of the evolution by stages. Here you may have see the examples how the wild vegetables of the cabbage, different wild cabbage, how after artificially selection when done, how there are development of are generated the different varieties, like some very dissimilar looking structure evolve from a common ancestral design. Like when we talking about the wild cabbage, from this wild cabbage a common ancestor for the 5 different varieties of the cabbage. Here this type of vegetables were generated by selection over 2000 years. ये सिलसिला 2000 सालों से चल रहा है, जहाँ पे हमने इस तरह के वाइल्ड कैबेज, देखिए यहाँ पर इसका मैंने नाम भी लिख दिया है, कोल वॉट, अंडरस्टैंड। तो वाइल्ड कैबेज से किस तरह से डिफरेंट वैराइटीज़ सेलेक्ट किए गए, उसके कुछ ऐसे प्रॉपर्टी को सिलेक्ट करके, एक जैसे प्रॉपर्टी का सिलेक्शन का माने एक कैरेक्टर का सिलेक्शन, एक ट्रेट का सिलेक्शन करके उस तरह का फिर जनरेट किया गया। तो आप इसमें देखेंगे 5 डिफरेंट एग्जांपल्स है, इसमें आपके बुक में भी दिया हुआ है। और हर सिलेक्शन में एक कैरेक्टर है इस वाइल्ड कैबेज का, उस कैरेक्टर को सिलेक्ट किया। जिस तरह से नेचुरल सिलेक्शन में हम लोगों ने वी हैव स्टडीड इन द डिफरेंट situations where we have seen that the red is the not beneficial or the green is the beneficial. In other some places we have seen that where there is no crow, there the red is also the beneficial character, or the blue is also the beneficial character, but where there are large number of crows are present, only the green will be selected by nature. So that's why here is the artificial selection. Here the examples how from the wild cabbage after artificial selection by man generated the different these types of vegetables. The traits which artificially selected are here, and the name of the vegetable which generated is here in the green color. Like the broccoli with the fleshy stem and arrested flower, like cauliflower with the fleshy and striate flower. Here is the from the wild cabbage. Cabbage is prepared from the fleshy terminal buds and short distance between the leaves, and selection for fleshy lateral buds like in the Brussels sprouts. This is the Calais, this is the kohlrabi, all these are the different vegetable generated by the wild cabbage after artificial selection. Now, look about the differences between the artificial selection and the natural selection. Here look some important differences between the artificial selection and natural selection. It is an artificial process carried out by man, and that is the natural phenomenon carried out by nature. The second important traits selected for improvement are beneficial for man. What is the beneficial aspect in the cultivation field for the man? That is for that purpose traits are selected. Here the traits selected for evolution are beneficial to a species and have adaptive value, and results are achieved in a short period of time, and these results are not achieved in a short period of time. It takes a longer time, are achieved over a long period of time. In this way we have seen the different aspects of the evolution. Now the few questions are sent by you in the dot, and all those questions are related with these different discussed points. That's why separately I will not send any dot clearance class. You will watch this video, and may you himself or herself satisfied after viewing this. As because a few students, the questions which sent by the students, especially from the class 10th C, that's like what are the role of natural selection, genetic drift, all this have been discussed thoroughly in the previous classes, in the previous videos. You may watch video carefully, and a few has also asked about the natural selection, and a few asked about the homologous, yes, homologous and analogous organs, and all that these points we have already discussed. वो सारे points जो मैंने questions के रूप में हमारे पास आए थे, उस सारे का यहाँ पे हमने उसका पूरा यहाँ पे डिस्कशन कर दिया है, और ये बहुत ही विस्तार से कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें थी जो आज इसमें डिस्कस नहीं की गई, उसको बहुत ही विस्तार के साथ पिछले वीडियोज़ में बताए गए हैं। आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि वो सारे वीडियो को आप देखें, और उम्मीद है कि आप जो है ज़रूर इससे सेटिस्फाइड होंगे। अगर इसके बावजूद भी कुछ डाउट रह जाता है तो फिर आप नेक्स्ट भेजेंगे।